What's up, everybody? It's Rob Live. So good to be back in the studios here at Madera Ranchos with Chances Are Productions. Jim, the man behind the controls, the applause. He's our everything.
What's up, Rob?
Appreciate to have you. And special guest, been thinking about bringing him on for a long time, Mr. Dion Tate. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, so we work together.
Yes.
Right? Many people don't know that. SP Golden Bears. Shout out to the Golden Bears. First shout out of the night. Right? Yeah, DJ. And, I see you in the halls all the time. We talk, and I was like, hey, Tate, come on the show. And you're like, all right. What are we doing?
Hey, what are we doing?
What are we doing? Wait, Tate's always game. I've known him for a long time. Really good friend. Love the fact that he's on our campus. Brings a lot to the culture. One of the biggest things with Tate is that all the kids like to be around you, and that says a lot, because sometimes you have teachers, you're avoiding their classroom, right? Oh, I don't want to be there. People come to Tate's at break, they come at lunch, they hang after school, and
before school.
Yeah, before school,
during school,
and you'll even be in the middle of class. They'll
Yes.
drop by, like, aren't you supposed to be in class? Yeah, I just want to come see you. So we appreciate everything you do on campus, and I'm glad to have you here. I just wanted to get more of your story, because I know that, like I've always said on RobLive, everybody has a story, and so I think that yours is an inspirational one.
Thank you.
So I'm going to start from the beginning.
Okay.
So born and raised in Fresno.
Born and raised in Fresno.
The
West side of Fresno.
West side.
Man, that was my entire family.
Yeah.
Everybody on the west side. I lived Clara by Bigby Villa in the heart of the west side. Grew up in a very nice family environment neighborhood where, at the west side could have a reputation.
It does.
But the area where I grew up, it was family environment. A lot of fathers and wives, a lot of kids riding up and down the streets on bikes. It was honestly like a little suburb. It was, a little piece of heaven. I enjoyed it.
Good. Now, is this the kind of place where you play outside till dark, and then when the lights go off in the street, you come inside?
Yes, that was a rule. You can, I don't how things are for young people now. We played outside all day, all day long. I tell a story when I was a kid. My parents had the cheapest childcare ever. They would give us, 25 cents. We could leave in the morning, go to Frank H. Ballpark, get free breakfast, play basketball, play baseball, play football all day, and then go to Frank H. For 10 cents, you could swim. And so you swam until like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then you'd walk home, and by the time you got home, your parents were home from work.
Nice.
So that was
summer days?
program. Yeah, that was our summer days. Every day I would get up and go to Frank H. and play there all day, swim in the afternoon after lunch, and you got free lunch.
Nice.
That was a cool thing. You got free lunch, and then after all of that, you'd walk home. So for 25 cents a day,
That's a bargain.
Your parents had childcare. I wish they would bring that back, because
you just whatever you find in the couch, that's enough to get you through the day.
Get you through the day.
So you grew up there, and I believe you were relatively close to Edison High School.
Yes.
Right?
Edison was the family school. Like all my sisters, cousins, all my closest friends, everyone went to Edison. So there was no when we grew up, it was an expectation. You're gonna be a Tiger. So
you go to the games when you're a kid.
Oh my gosh,
were you the ball boy?
Matter of fact, no, I was the mascot.
What?
Yeah, my sisters were cheerleaders.
Okay.
And so one of my first memories of football was they had me dressed up in the Edison mascot, the little tiger outfit.
Yeah, Edison
I was
Tigers.
like 3 years old.
Oh wow, yeah.
My sisters are a little bit older. Let's say a little bit in case they see this. My sisters are a little bit older, and so when they were in high school at 3-4 years old, as cheerleaders, they dressed me up as a mascot. So my first memories of football was standing on the sideline, jumping up and down in the Edison's Tiger suit.
Yeah, so that was just a given. You were going to be an Edison Tiger.
Yeah, it was an expectation. You're going to be a Tiger. So grew up 9th and 10th grade,
Yeah.
Went to Edison, and then played ball there, freshman, sophomore year. And then my father did something that just upset the universe. We got a house on Palm and McKinley.
That is not Edison territory.
Nah, that's Fresno High.
Fresno High. Fresno Warriors,
Fresno
right?
Warriors. So at the end of my 10th grade year, I had to go into the office because I had already started football for my junior year at Edison.
Yeah.
And I had to go in and tell the coach and all the guys that I grew up with, I'm leaving.
Oh, man. Did your father ever explain that move, like what that was about?
Yeah. I was upset, but then I understood it as I got older because a lot of things started changing in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
In the mid 80s, that's when crack cocaine hit the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And a lot of people started drug
The
dealing.
crack epidemic.
Yeah. And so my father was afraid that I was going to fall in line with that group of drug dealers.
Yeah.
Because you can make fast money. So he made the decision. We're moving before you get influenced by that.
Man.
So he saved you.
Yeah, he did. He saved me. Now, I'm 56 years old now, and it's funny, a lot of the guys that I went to Edison with, they still hold it against me to this very day that I left. It's like, you left us. It wasn't the fact that I left. I had to. My father made a decision. That's not knocking the West Side because I still got a lot of love for West Fresno because that was a place that made me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point as a father, you have to make a decision for your family.
Hard decisions.
And my father saw a lot of things happening in the neighborhood that he didn't like. And he said, to save my son, I'm moving him out of that. And so as a father myself now and a grandfather, I understand those hard decisions. Mm-hmm. So packed up, moved to McKinley and Palm.
Do you remember that first day of school at Fresno High?
Oh, my gosh.
What was that like?
Well, actually, before I get to the first day of school, they were having football practice at Fresno High. And I said, I'm not playing football anymore. If I can't play for Edison, I don't want to play no more. I'll just go to Fresno High. Forget it. I was sitting around the house moping, unpacking stuff, and my father had gone to run an errand, and he came back, and he said, hey, I just passed by Fresno High. The football team is out there practicing. Just go down there and take a look at what's happening. I don't want to go down there. And my father was a military man from the South, and when he gave a command, you only said no one time because the second time, if he said something, there was punishment.
Yes, sir.
And so he said, boy, yes, sir. So I went in and grabbed my boom box, my ghetto blaster.
Oh, yes. Okay, people from other generations, the younger generation, the ghetto blaster or the boom box was a portable radio of yay size. You put on your shoulder, you walk down the street, turn it up, battery operated.
Yes.
Why does everyone think that it had to be on your shoulder?
That was
right.
The thing.
That's the way it was.
That's the way it was. And
two decks.
Yes. And so
you took it with the radio. You took the radio
I
with
put my ghetto blaster on.
Let me guess. I can't live without my radio.
Yes.
Is that what you're playing?
Yes.
LL
Cool J. Yes.
That was a jam, right there.
That was a jam. And so I put LL Cool J in the box, popped the tape in. For those of you that don't know,
cassette tape.
It was a cassette tape.
Look it up, folks.
Yeah, look it up. Cassette tape. So I popped the cassette tape in, put my boom box on my shoulder.
Yeah.
Blasted. Fresh batteries. Fresh batteries. Got to have fresh batteries.
Yeah.
And walked down to Fresno High. And I was standing there with music blasting, just looking at this team. And the funny thing is, one of the coaches came up to me, Coach Kendricks. Tough guy.
Did he recognize you? Did he know who you were?
Well, no, he didn't know who I was, but this was a tough old guy. Like finger cut off from an accident.
Oh.
And he pointed that thing at me. He said, turn that ghetto stuff down. So I turned it down. And then one of the guys on the team that I actually grew up with from back in the day on the West Side
Yeah.
had transferred over there because they moved a long time before. And he saw me. He was like, hey, what are you doing over here? It's like, well, coming to Fresno High. Really? Are you playing football? Nope. He turned around and walked to the football coach, mumbling to him, turned around and pointed at me. The coach walked over to me and said, hey, I hear you're transferring over here. Well, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Come by my office on Monday. I'll have something for you. So I walked in. I specifically remember it was my geometry class.
Oh, you know that much? Man, that's
I remember.
specific.
Yeah. Oh, because
1984,
this
85?
was 84.
Yeah.
1984. Oh my gosh, that was a long time ago. So I walked in. I mean, you know, there were Hispanics there at the school at that point, but you know, Fresno High has changed a lot in the years, but it was predominantly a white school at the time because Palm, McKinley area, all the way down Palm, past Bullard, that's where a lot of a lot of Armenians in the area lived.
Yeah.
A lot of the white business owners, they lived in that area because Tower District was still the place.
Okay.
And a little further. So I walk into that class and like I'm the only black person.
Like what?
Culture shock.
Culture shock for sure.
That was my first period class. Like culture shock.
Was it like the movies where everybody turns to see who's walking in the room?
Yeah. I mean, because there were black kids at Fresno High. I don't want to make it seem like I was the only black person there. There was several black kids there, but it's just for me, that was my first experience of being the only black person in a room. You know, so I'm 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So for 16 years, I was used to being one of many African Americans.
Yeah.
And then at 16, I am one of very few. And so at that point, that's what I really I felt like a minority at that point. It's like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah, this is different.
So, yeah, that was just, and then going from class to class, and then later on, you know, I started meeting more of the black kids, and then that afternoon, when school ends, I walk into
the coach's office.
The coach's office.
He said he had something for you.
He said he had something for me. It was a uniform. It was a uniform.
He's like, here you go.
He was like,
what are they purple?
Yeah, purple and gold.
Purple and gold. Okay.
Yeah.
Like the Vikings.
Yeah. And he had a uniform. He was like, I checked everything. You're cleared because it was a full family move. You're eligible. So here you go.
Wow. What was your reaction?
What?
So he ran the dirt. He went back.
He went back.
Yeah.
And later on, I made even bigger impression on him because he found out that one of my cousins went to Fresno High back in the day when they used to win championships.
Yeah.
And my cousin was like an All-American running back there.
Wow.
And so when he found out that I was related to him.
Did your cousin go on to play?
He played in Canada.
What was his name?
Keith Gooch.
Keith Gooch. Oh, how you spell it?
Keith Gooch.
Oh, Gooch.
Gooch.
Gooch?
I think it's Gooch.
You know what that reminds me of? Do you remember?
From
do you remember the Different Strokes?
Different Strokes. The Gooch.
The Gooch,
Yeah.
the bully.
Yeah, and so he found that out, and at that moment, I had no choice. You're wearing his number.
Oh, wow. What was his number?
42.
42. Like
You're
Ronnie Lott.
Yeah, you're wearing his number.
Were you playing defense or offense or both?
Both.
Iron Man ball?
Well, yeah, back then it was
always two-way
yeah,
players.
it's always
was normal,
two-way
right?
players. You know, you play defensive back, and what do you play on offense? Well, running back, receiver, whatever. And so at that point, you play whatever we tell you to play on offense. And so that started it. For 2 years, played at Fresno High. You know, it was.
What was your position? Safety?
Cornerback, outside linebacker, safety, wide receiver, running back, quarterback if they need it, whatever
Really?
they want. Yeah,
You played some QB?
yeah.
Nice.
I couldn't throw well. I ran the ball when they put me at quarterback.
Yeah.
But my senior
The
year,
early
was,
Michael Vick.
Yeah, it was Michael Vick be Michael Sick. Whatever they played me. In my senior year, they settled down defensive back and running back, and that's what I played my senior year. So it was weird
Yeah.
because I was used to winning a lot at Edison,
Yeah.
and to be at Fresno High, and the winning was very sparingly. We didn't win a game my senior year.
Wow. You went 0-10.
0-10. 0-10.
That's got to be tough.
That was tough because at that point, I wanted to go to college and play college football.
When did you make that decision? That's a big decision.
When I was a little kid,
You already
because
knew.
I wanted to play football. I fell in love with football the first time I put on a helmet. I fell in love with the game. Plus, I grew up in a football family.
Okay, yeah, your cousins. And
Yeah, my cousins, my uncles.
Did your father play too?
No, my father ran track.
Oh, okay.
My father did not want me to play football. My mother wanted me to play football
I see.
because my mother grew up in a football family. All her brothers played.
Okay.
My father went to Arkansas Baptist, I believe that's what it was, and he ran track.
Yeah.
And he didn't want me to play football. He wanted me to run track and follow in his footsteps.
Did you end up doing both?
Yeah, I did both. I was a much better football player than in track. I mean,
Yeah.
I was good at track, but I love football. I ran track to stay in shape.
I see. Yeah, a lot of guys
Yeah.
will do something that complements their sport,
Mhm.
right?
I
So
ran-
being a sought-after athlete,
Mhm.
there's a recruitment process.
Yes.
At what point do you start getting looks or calls or people asking about you?
It was mainly happened the beginning of my senior year. Now, being at Fresno High and we weren't winning, recruiters would go to games to see other players from other teams.
Who were
And-
you playing? Like Clovis
And
West?
yeah,
or-
back then the NYL was like a premier league because you had Clovis West, Clovis High, Madera, Edison. Those were powerhouse teams.
And you were Fresno was in that league.
And Fresno High was in that league.
So you had to play Edison, your old
Yes,
teammates?
My old
Okay,
teammates.
what was that like the first time you're lined up and you know every guy on that side?
Man, I still get teased about that to this very day. We were playing. I remember this hit for the rest of my life. I wish I could forget it. He didn't hit me hard enough to knock it out of my memory. Guy named Bubby Foster. They kicked off to us. The guy on the other side was afraid to pick the ball up. I ran across the field. I'm reaching down to pick up the ball off the ground. The moment it touched my hands and I picked it up, Bubby was big too. He hit me so hard, knocked me back about 20 yards, and they just jumping up and all in my face. You shouldn't have left. You shouldn't have left. And I'm laying there on the ground holding the ball. I had no choice.
Hey, you
held on to the ball.
Yeah. That's
He hit me so hard.
The
It was like
snot bubbles coming out.
snot bubbles. And back then, I probably had a concussion. They just said your bell was rung.
Was this early in the game?
Like 5 minutes into the game.
Oh man.
And I had to play the rest of the game at defensive back, head spinning against some of the fastest receivers in the valley at Edison.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I was so glad when that game was over because they were trying to knock me out. And I understand why, because we grew up together.
Yeah.
It was a family. I mean, these are guys that I grew up with that we played in the playgrounds as little kids.
Yeah.
We all came to high school, and back then it wasn't the transferring that happens now.
Yeah, you stayed. at
You
your school.
stayed. You stay
Yeah.
because it's home.
Yeah.
And they were
So you guys lost.
we lost.
Yeah.
We lost. But
Almost for the better.
yeah,
right?
it was,
Just
I mean, there was no way we were going to beat Edison. Edison was a major powerhouse back then. Because you got to look at the guys that went to Edison, that came from Edison. Edison, especially in the 80s, they turned out guys that went to college and were then became pros. Icky Woods,
Tim that's right.
Tim McDonald,
Yes.
who
Who came back and built the
came back and
World Sports Cafe?
exactly.
Yeah. He
And
was
then-
a Niner, right?
And then even after that, you had other guys. Edison has a history of sending guys to D1 colleges and then into the NFL. So these are this is the caliber of player that I had grown up around. And so to go to Fresno High, and it was, wow, it was culture shock. But those guys at Fresno High, I love them. They love to play the game. Those are some of my best friends this very day. We still get together and hang out.
That says a lot. Now, did you stay in touch with some of the Edison guys?
Oh yeah. It's a lot of social media now with those guys because just life,
Yeah.
you know, with me working in Hanford,
Yeah.
you know, I still live in Fresno. I drive to Hanford every day, and by the time I get home, it's
an hour drive.
It's an hour drive. It's time to sit back and relax, watch TV. You know, but if we see each other, it's nothing but love.
You just pick up right where you left off.
I look at it, I'm blessed because I have friends that I had from when I was a kid that we were family. And then also now I have friends that I made when we were in high school, you know, just from the 10th and 11th and 12th grade.
Yeah.
And now we're a family. So I'm
like two families.
I'm a warrior tiger. You know,
Yeah.
I love both schools because they both did so much for me. Edison was my foundation. It's who I am. But Fresno High was who I became.
That's a great way to put it. So now you get recruited.
Yes.
And who was looking at you beginning of that senior year?
Yeah, beginning of that. Wow. Now, when I say these names, don't think of the powerhouses that they became.
Yeah.
They were the bottom dwellers of the Pac-10 back then. Oregon, State, Washington State.
That's so strange because Washington just played for a national championship.
Yeah, but back then, you know, USC, UCLA were the powerhouse.
Yeah.
And so those schools were the bottom dwellers of the Pac-10, but it was offers, you know, and I was happy just to get offers, you know, and you got to look at these schools. Back then, recruiters, they hit the road and they traveled from city to city. It wasn't like it is now. They can see your stuff on Huddle or see you on the internet.
Yeah.
They had to go to games. And so I got recruited because playing in the powerhouse league with the Edisons, like we were saying, Clovis West, they would go to those games to see those guys.
And then be like, who's number 42?
Yeah, who's
Fresno?
number 42 at Fresno High? Yeah. It's like, wow, who's that guy getting all those yards? Who's that guy making those tackles? Well, then from there, they would contact the school. And back then, it was you contact the school, get the phone number, get your mailing address, mail you letters. And the way they were, if you were just being recruited for the questionnaires, they would send out the questionnaires. Then I noticed the questionnaires started turning into handwritten letters.
Oh, okay. So that's an upgrade.
That's an upgrade.
An interest level.
Exactly. And then the handwritten letters would turn into phone calls. Then the phone calls would turn into, we want to come visit. And the
So would you go visit or they'd come to you?
To start it off, they would come to visit you.
Okay.
And so I remember, you know, sitting at home, my mother's there, my dad's there, and recruiters would come and sit in your living room and make a pitch to you about their school.
What did that sound like? Oh, we're gonna get you take care of your son.
We're gonna take care of you. You know, we're a family.
Do you feel like they were speaking more to you or your parents?
To your parents.
They're trying to get you.
As a young player, you just want to play.
Yeah, so they already know.
Yeah, and if a coach comes in and say, "We want to play you," I'm sold.
Yeah,
but you have to. The main person you have to sell the program to is mom.
Yeah,
because that's my baby. You're taking away from me.
Yeah.
And so they would have to sell, and my mother was a church lady, the church lady, and she would start quizzing them on Bible stuff. And if you couldn't answer a question, no, it's over.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that was a great process, and then from there it goes into the visiting of the schools. So
yeah, I want to hear about that.
Oh yeah, you know, you take the recruiting trips. You fly into Oregon. You fly.
So you're flying around to these places.
Yeah,
wow.
Economy. You know,
but you're still going somewhere.
But you go to those places, or you drive to some of the places that were closer. They take you. They show you around school. They take you through the facilities. They show you the weight room, the dining hall. You meet the players.
And who was your chaperone or?
You
Is
have
it
a
a player?
coach that you meet, and then they'll send like a team
Captain or
captain,
something?
and they show you around.
Oh, okay.
Now, when the team captain showed you around, that's when the real recruiting visit starts.
So that was the party.
That's the party. You know, they take you to the frat parties and they introduce you to.
Oh,
And
man. So
we're
you're a
not gonna-
senior?
I was senior in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, going to frat parties.
That is crazy.
We won't mention any of that in case any of the kids at school are looking at this, but that was fun. That was fun.
What was your most memorable visit? Was it Washington? Was it Oregon?
Actually, my most memorable visit was Southern Utah State.
Southern Utah. Yeah, I know that.
Southern Utah State. And that actually came, well, I'll get to the Southern Utah. So I went through that recruiting process, got senioritis, stopped doing my schoolwork.
Oh, man.
Grades went from a 3.5 to I needed to pass classes
To graduate.
to graduate.
So we're talking 1.2.0.
Yeah, 1.9, you know, skating it, praying that I got a B on the final exam so my grade could go up to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
So now you're academically ineligible
Exactly.
for Division I college.
Exactly. I'm academically ineligible for Division I college. So at that point, you have to go to junior college. And so being that I'm in Fresno City was a powerhouse
Yeah. So you became a Ram?
for a couple of weeks.
Wait, what?
For a couple of weeks.
All right, let's hear this.
Um,
Fresno City Rams.
I'm a Fresno City Rams. They had some great players out there on that team. And my ego, to any young person, any young player, put your ego aside because that ego will sell you something that's not real. I felt like I should have been starting.
Yeah.
And they had sophomores that had paid their dues over me.
Yeah.
Me not realizing I'm sitting behind, at running back, I was sitting behind 2 sophomores.
Yeah.
So I should have just stayed there.
Yeah.
My ego kicked in. I quit.
Were you red shirt?
No,
You weren't red shirt?
I wasn't red shirt. I dropped out the beginning of my freshman year.
Wow.
So it didn't count against me. Before the cutoff date, I dropped out. I'm like, I'm done. I'm just going to get a job. Started working at McDonald's
Have it your way.
on Blackstone and Bullard.
Oh, I know where that is.
I started working there
Wait, is that the one?
by that Target.
Is it near Radcliffe Stadium?
No,
Oh, that's
Blackstone and Bullard it's down the street from Bullard High School.
okay.
I started working there. I was working the drive-through, closing. And I remember one night, and this would change my life, sitting there in the drive-through, in the back drive-through collecting money. Some people came in, recognized me, and I heard one of the guys say, "Isn't that Dion Tate?" It's like, yeah. It's like, dang, washed up at 18.
Wow. That cut deep.
That cut deep. And that moment, I went home and I said, I need to get my stuff together. And so I started working out again. And that next year, I went and I enrolled at Reedley College. Well, it was Kings River.
Oh, so you were a Tiger.
Yeah.
Oh,
I went
the
back to
stories.
being a Tiger.
I love Reedley College.
Yeah. It was Kings River Community
Yeah,
College
Kings
at that
River
point.
Community College.
And so I went there, played 2 years there, had a great time, met some amazing people.
So that was 87, 88 or?
Yeah, 87, 88. Played at Reedley College. Well, it's Reedley College now, but
Yeah.
and then at that point, I started getting recruited from smaller 4-year schools.
This was at cornerback?
Oh, running back.
Running back.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I always looked at you as a defensive player.
went back to offense.
Okay.
Defense was fine, but I'd rather run the football. I like the glory.
Yeah.
My ego, I want to hear my names. Touchdown. Yeah, that was my ego. Went to Reedley, played there, had a pretty good career there. You know,
Did you
decent.
play 1 or 2 years?
2 years.
Okay.
Started getting recruited by smaller schools, and that's where Southern Utah came in.
Oh, okay.
I was recruited by Southern Utah. Went to Southern Utah to visit the school.
Yeah.
Drove with 2 of my friends. Al Daniels and Greg Campbell.
Were they also being recruited?
They were also being recruited by
from
Southern
Reedley.
Utah.
They were from Reedley
yeah.
teammates.
So we drove to Southern Utah, Cedar City, Utah. We drove rented a car.
That's a drive.
It was a drive. And this was my first time ever leaving like that on the road.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
You know, so I think I was 20 because I was old enough. I was the one old enough to rent the car.
Oh, okay.
So rented a car, drove to Cedar City, Utah. Now, and back then we had to use the map. No GPS.
Thomas guys.
Yes.
Let's explain to the audience
Yeah.
here, guys. Maps were these paper things.
Paper, yeah.
And they had different routes and freeways written on them. You had to follow them. Just like, like the old pirate treasure chest.
Yeah.
There was
Did it
no
go from
GPS.
A36 down to
Yes.
Z14.
And I remember doing that. That was so funny.
McNally.
Yep.
Because my dad actually plotted our trip out for us. He got the map and he drew it out.
With
and
the
it's
highlighter?
He highlighted it, and so we knew. Now, I did not know that to get to Cedar City, Utah, you had to drive through Las Vegas, Nevada.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, so we're on the road, and I see Las Vegas. What?
Sin City.
Sin City. Now, this was before Vegas got as big as it is now.
Yeah.
It was still,
It was like one strip.
yeah,
And
one
then suburbs.
Yeah, suburbs. So we drove through Vegas. We stopped to get gas, and we saw Circus.
I was going to say, I knew it. Circus. You saw the clown.
Yes.
With the lollipop.
So we went in, and we ate at the McDonald's right there close to the Circus.
Yeah.
And then we went into Circus. We saw the show,
Carnival games.
played the carnival games. And then I noticed something that at a young age, I noticed that in Las Vegas, they let people walk down Las Vegas Boulevard with open alcohol containers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what? Wow.
No brown bag.
Yeah, no brown
You know
bag.
what I picture when you say that, Jim? Remember those long plastic ones? It's got like a slushy
Yes.
with a straw. I
Yes.
always picture that when I think
Yes.
Las Vegas drinks.
Mm-hmm.
The hurricane.
But I could relate. I remember the first time I went to Vegas and you're walking around. We were older to go. You could buy the alcohol, but even though you bought it, you're like, I got to put this in a bag or somewhere I could hide it. It's
Nope.
weird.
Is it
can
still
walk-
like that? The strip?
Yes.
Yeah, it's still like that. Yeah.
It's still like that. What? I go 5-6 times a year.
You do, yeah, you do.
You got to come with me one time.
Every time I talk to, hey, what are you doing this weekend, Tate? Oh, I'm going to Vegas. All right.
You got to come with me one time.
I want to, yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you know this, Jim. I follow him on Facebook, right? And he has this segment that he started. Can I tell him?
Yeah, you can tell him.
He started this segment called Come Get Your People, right? And he's referencing white people, right? Doing some things,
Yeah.
like silly things, whatever. And he's like, hey, white people, come get
Come
your
get
people.
your people.
Come get him out of here.
Yeah.
And he's always got like somebody doing some funky dance or terrible karaoke, and it'll be like, "Hey man," and it's always Vegas.
Yes.
Stereotype comments.
Stereotype,
Yeah,
man.
totally.
It's like, wow, they're dancing off the words.
Oh man, come get your people.
Get your
over here.
people. Get your
And he always
people.
says, "Come get your people." And every time I see that, I go, "This is gonna be a good video."
Yes. They're
Never
amazing
disappoints.
videos. No. Yeah, so we stopped off there. It's like, man, we got to hurry up and get into Cedar City. So we got back in the car, drove on in to Cedar City. Beautiful country. I get to Cedar City, Utah. Now, this is the springtime. It's cold time of the year. Cedar City is snowing. It's cold. I don't do well in the cold at all.
Yeah,
I was like, nah, I'm not going to this school. No.
you already
no.
knew when
I
you.
already knew. I don't want to go here. But they were offering. So we did our visit. We cut our visit to Cedar City. We cut our visit to Southern Utah short and went back
To
through
Vegas.
Vegas. And at that point, it's like, hey, man, they got the university here. Let's just go by. Just go see.
Really?
Let's just go see what it looks like. And so we went by UNLV.
Thomas and Mack Center.
Yep, Thomas and Mack Center. The football complex, the practice complex is on the university now. The Silver Bowl is way outside, so we didn't get a chance to see the stadium. But I saw that, and it's like, oh my gosh, this place It's amazing. And so went back home and I started writing the coaching staff at UNLV.
Wow, it's just like that.
Because that's where Ickey Woods went. And Ickey Woods was
That's
from
right.
Fresno.
The
And
Iggy
it's
Shuffle.
yeah, and he had just got drafted by the Bengals.
Yeah, went on to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and so in my head, I want to be like him. Well, started communication with them. They weren't really interested at first. And so I contacted.
Is this letters?
Yeah, letters.
Snail
letters,
mail?
Snail mail. Started back the conversation with Southern Utah. So I ended up going to Southern Utah for a week.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Yeah, I went to
Fresno City for a week, Southern Utah for a week.
I ended up going to Southern Utah for a week and was like, can't do this. Went back home. And by that time, contact, with UNLV picks up. Cool. Get in contact with the coaches. Everything seemed to be moving along great. Right before rookie camp starts, started to feel sick.
Oh, like a flu? Or?
Like it felt like a flu.
Yeah.
Take the medicine. Nothing's getting better. Over the week, started getting worse. At this point, I'm just throwing up. Go to the doctor. Doctor tells me, oh, he's got a stomach virus. No problem. Like, cool. Give him some antibiotics. So I'd taken the antibiotics. Not getting any better.
Uh-oh.
Mother takes me to her doctor. We'll give him some stronger antibiotics. But if this doesn't work in the next day or two, call me and we'll get him. Well, I'll see him. Didn't work. Went to see the doctor again. He was like, all right, I have a feeling, but I'm not sure. Go ahead and go home, and by tomorrow morning, if nothing picks up, we'll get him admitted into the hospital. From the time we left the doctor's office to me getting home on the west side, because my parents moved back to the west side.
Oh, you're like, really, Mom?
Yeah, after high school, they moved back to the west side. Oh, so you just moved so I can, okay, so get back to the west side. I got out of my mom's car, and all over the front yard, she called her doctor and said, get him to the hospital right now. By the time you get there, I'll have his admission papers ready to go. Get to the hospital. My appendix ruptured, and I didn't know it.
Oh.
And at that point,
I was going to say.
At that point, the poison had started
to spread.
Yeah. And so they had to keep me and strengthen me for a few days before they could operate. So they operate on me, and the doctors and everybody, oh, so we're here, you getting ready to go away to go to college? Like, yeah, I'm going to college. I'm like, get me out of here so I can get to camp. 31 days later.
You were in there for 31
days later. I went from 198 pounds of pure muscle to 118 pounds of skin and bones in a month.
Which hospital were you at?
Community. Fresno Community. Shout out to them. They took care of me. I'm still here. That was the longest month of my life. And it took me through a dark spiral because at that point, I'm not going to be able to play. I got out in time to go to school. Couldn't play that first year. So that first year.
Were you on scholarship or?
Yeah.
So they honored that.
They honored that.
Oh, good.
But I couldn't play.
Yeah. So were you at practice still?
I'd walk out there, sick little kid looking, going to the weight room, try to bench. And I'm a guy who's benching over 300 pounds. I could barely put 100 pounds on there and lift it. But over that next year, I started getting back in shape. So I'm getting in shape. But one of the things I forgot, you got to go to class.
Take note, kids. Show up to class.
You got to go to class. Didn't go to class. I missed a lot of class. And my grade point average dropped to a 0.57.
Wow, I've never heard that.
It was low.
That might be a UNLV record.
Wasn't good. I'm back in physical shape. Got to the point, got my grades up, I could go out for spring practice. But by the time spring practice started and all these things are going on, I found out I was going to be a father.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations.
Well, I mean, he's 33 years old now.
What's his name?
Dion Jr.
Dion Jr. Shout out to Dion Jr.
He DJ'd our formal.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I don't know if you did. Yeah, he DJ'd our formal a few
Okay.
times. Yeah, he's a
Nice.
great DJ, awesome DJ. And at that point, you're a dad. You got to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So tried to play, wasn't working out. I needed to provide for my son,
Yeah.
and so at that point, football career's over. Forget about it. You know, I came home and I tried to play semi-pro ball for the Fresno Bandits.
My brother played for the Bandits.
I tried to play for the Bandits.
They were at Radcliffe?
Yeah.
Did you play any games?
No.
My brother played quarterback for them a few games. They
Yeah.
played a Russian team. And
Yeah. I thought about it, but it's like, is it really worth it?
yeah.
And it's like, it's not worth it. You know, I thought about trying to go play arena football, but I didn't want to get knocked into the first row.
Yeah. That's high speed.
Yeah, that's high speed.
High impact.
You know, and I know some guys that played arena ball, but nah, that's not for me. It's like, you know something? I think I want to be Coach Dion.
Coach Dion.
And so at that point, I started coaching youth football at Fresno High.
Oh, and Tate was born.
That's when Tate was born. I started coaching youth football at Fresno High and
Good.
been coaching ever since.
Yeah. So you were at Fresno High.
Mm-hmm.
You started coaching there. When did you go over to Reedley?
Okay, well, that was a long journey. I did Fresno High. I did youth football for a while. I did like a lot of little youth areas.
And while you were doing the youth football, what was the day job?
I worked at Wells Fargo Bank and
Okay.
and also Bank of America. I did a lot of that too. Spent a lot of time doing that. I became a campus life director for Youth for Christ.
Really?
Yes.
What?
I was a campus life director at Fresno Madera Youth for Christ for
I
years.
did not know that.
Yeah.
You know, I do the campus life. one.
Yeah.
What a small world.
I
Did you know Bruce Smith?
No.
Oh, he's a Dynuba guy.
Yeah. Let's see. What else did I do? Oh, well, I was a youth pastor for a while.
Oh,
I was a youth pastor for
praise
a while.
Lord.
Yes.
I'm sure your mom was very happy.
Oh, she was very happy. I did.
I know you did security, right? At Reedley High?
Yeah, I did the campus security for a couple of years, but I was also I was a math teacher there too.
So you're doing both.
I taught math for. I was hired on the PIP and the STIP.
Yeah.
There
Which
was
is
one of
the
yeah, and I
emergency credential.
Yeah, emergency credential because I was working on my teaching credential at that time.
Yeah.
But I wanted to teach business. I didn't want to teach math.
Yeah.
And so that didn't work out there. So I did the campus security for a couple of years, and then the position at Sierra Pacific opened up in the business department.
Yeah.
And here I am.
And that's where I met you.
Yes, we met at Sierra Pacific.
So I want to talk about we talked a little bit off camera, and I know Jim might know a little bit about this situation, but your first year at Sierra Pacific, I believe maybe my second or third, we had a principal,
Yes.
Greg Henry, and he brought you in
He brought
open
me.
arms, right?
Mhm.
And I felt very comfortable with him. And about 2-3 days in the school,
Yeah.
he took his life.
Mm-hmm. That was sad.
And
that hurt.
That really was jarring for me.
Mm-hmm.
I personally ended up going to therapy that year.
Mm.
Not that Greg and I were like super close. I mean, a human life's human life.
Exactly.
But just this idea that someone I knew on such a personal
Exactly.
level had taken their life, and I saw no sign. I always thought that I would be able to identify,
Mm-hmm.
some sort of sign or recognize and be able to, share or talk or be there for him. And I saw no sign at all.
Yeah.
And my whole reality was like, wait, no, things aren't the way you thought they were.
That was a huge shift because earlier that day,
Yeah.
I saw him in the break room, and he came up and he shook my hand. He was like, "I'm so glad that you're a part of our staff here. I'm looking forward to seeing what you bring to the staff." And I was like, I was honored that here it is. This guy saw something in me and brought me in
Yeah.
as a business teacher, something that I'd always wanted to teach. And I was so grateful to him. And then later on that day, we
He was
got the
gone.
word, and that hurt.
You know, it was strange, and I don't know if you remember this, but Jim, imagine this. Jim's a teacher as well. You get called to a staff meeting, emergency staff meeting after school, and we're like, all right. So we all show up, and there's kind of, whisperings of something might have happened on campus. And then on that walk to the meeting room, somebody walking by and said, hey, one of our staff members just passed. So now we go in the meeting room, and I don't know about you, I'm waiting to see who's walking in, right? And so by deduction, or I'm trying to figure out who's passed away.
Is that a process of elimination?
Yeah, process of elimination. So I'm looking who's walking in, who's not walking in. Oh, Tate's here. All right, cool. Mason, right? Seeing a lot of people I'm close to. And then I was waiting for our principal to walk in to start the meeting. I'm waiting. I'm thinking he's going to start the meeting. And when our superintendent of schools walked in, my heart dropped, and I was like, it's our principal.
Yep.
There's no way he wouldn't be here right now. And here's what they said. They said, hey, guys, you're going to hear a lot of things through the media and the news. Please don't engage in that. We want to be respectful to the families involved. Not all of them have been notified yet, but we will let you guys know future notice. And so the meeting was just to kind of like, hey, there's something going on, but we can't really talk about what it is.
So now go and teach.
Well, no, this was right. It was after end of the day. We all just kind of drove home in shock.
And that was weird for me as a new teacher. Day three, the guy that hired me, it's like, because, when things, not knowing how school districts
That was your first teaching job.
That was my first full-time teaching job, because I was brought in, on the permits, but this was as a credentialed teacher. This is because this was my second career in a sense. I started this late in life because I was 48 at that time.
Yeah.
It's like, here it is, man, the guy that brought me in. And, usually last guy hired is the first one fired type of thing. And I'm thinking to myself, the guy that brought me in, that believes in me, oh, no. It's like the new principal doesn't know who I am.
Yeah.
These teachers don't know who I am. I left the school at Reedley where I was established, where they knew me. I had been coaching there for years. I had coached track. I coached football, and at that point I had moved over to the head of the campus security, because Aruda told you that.
Yeah, I talked to several different people from Reedley High, and they thought very highly of you.
And that was going to be my spot, because anyone hired from that point, I was the one in charge of all of those people. So it's like I was the head of it. It's like it was pretty cool. And I left that, and now I'm in a new place where they don't know me, and the guy that hired me is gone.
Yeah.
I walked around that campus on eggshells. I was terrified. And I can only imagine what you guys felt, because you had a more of a relationship with him.
Yeah, because he had been the vice principal the year before. He was very, very social, communicated well with everyone. I remember he had said to me one time, Jim, he's like, hey, because I was hesitant about something, and so I finally talked to him about it. He's like, hey, we can settle anything, man. It's all about communication. Just continue to talk. Right. And then I thought in that moment when he needed somebody to talk to, we didn't identify that. We weren't there for him. And so
that was a tough time.
Yeah, but I don't think we're, obviously you would think we would know signs, we would know the signs, but the obvious signs, we look at our kids all the time. We could probably point out some kids that are having some issues. They're adults, man. It's kind of hard when they know how to hide it. And they've probably been hiding it for a while.
It's true.
So
also, I think adults are hesitant because we're very conscious of other people's time and energy, and so sometimes we feel, oh, I don't want to burden anyone, and so we keep it, we carry it on our backs. I'm not saying that women don't, but I know a lot of males in my life just bottle it up, carry it on their back, and
I think it's a lot of that macho stuff that we're taught. You're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to show emotion type of thing. And so we bottle everything up, and we put that mask on, and we say, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And on the inside, we're hurting,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And well, I do it. Well, I shared with you earlier, but when my friend passed during the season,
Yeah.
you know, I put that mask on and I went back to work like I'm okay. Went back to business as usual, coaching,
Yeah.
leading the team.
We had no one knew that his
Nobody
friend
knew.
had passed.
Nobody knew. And there would be times at work on my prep, I would sit in my classroom, turn the lights off, and just sit at my desk and cry.
Wow. I'm sorry, man.
Because
we had no idea.
I got to get out to practice, and I got to be Tate
Yeah.
in front of the guys. I got to be Tate, you know. I got to walk around campus, and when everybody sees me, oh, that's Tate. He's a cool guy. And I got to put that look on my face.
Yeah.
And on the inside, I was hurting so much. It's like this was somebody this was someone that during COVID, he would come over to the house and we would sit there. We would just, because he was a single guy, we would just eat and just sit and share our lives. And he became like a brother to me. We took trips together, you know.
Yeah. Like family.
Like family. And he's gone. And I went into this darkness. And now I know, because I have a group of friends and we help each other through that. And this is why I'm at the point, man, share what you're going through. If I bug you, oh well. I'd rather bug you than to go into that dark place again.
Yeah. I think this is a much healthier approach. Jim knows a little bit about it, but I know you know from this email I sent out last week. My best friend growing up, his brother took his life last Wednesday, and it compelled me to write this email to the whole staff, Jim. And so I'll share it with you. But basically, it was talking about this idea that we're all going through something, and some of us don't feel like we have anyone to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So I just threw my name out there and put my cell phone number. Said, if you need someone to talk to, I may not be your number one choice, but I am an option for you. And about 4 other people stepped up and put their numbers on there as well. So it kind of started this whole idea that we're hurting, and we now have options. And as Tate was saying, we got to do more of the sharing, more talking about it, as difficult as it might be. And so I want to go back to a lighter time.
Yeah.
Right. And so here's the first thing I noticed about Tate when he started coaching. The energy was high, right? It was like always fun.
I know what he's talking.
He made it fun. And so, we'd have games sometimes, and I would see him at the end of the game, he'd be dancing on the sideline. And I've never seen a coach because coaches are always like kind of stoic and I got to keep my cool and whatever. And I'm like, man, we got to have fun too. If it ain't fun, then why are we doing this? And he brought fun and spirit back to the game. So then the next year comes and we have this big rally, right?
Oh my gosh.
And we're having the rally, and Tate and I are around the same age, and so we know the same movies and whatnot. And for viewers out there, RobLive viewers, hopefully a lot of you guys are familiar with the movie Friday. Ice Cube wrote it. Chris Tucker break out as Smoke Dog, right? And so there's all these lines and things, storylines, and people know the movie. And so Tate gets up there, and we're playing Hanford West, which was our rival at the time. And I was like, all right, Tate's going to give us a speech about tradition and whatever. And he's like, you guys remember the movie Friday? And the crowd's like, ah. He says, y'all remember when Debo stole Red's bike? And I'm like, he's going there, is he? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, right now, West has our trophy. That's our trophy, right? And we got bullied out of our trophy last year. Do you guys want to take that bike back? Yeah. You guys want to knock out Debo? Right? So he used the whole Friday analogy, and the crowd's going nuts, and they're all into it. And I was like, oh, man, this I've never seen. I might have it on YouTube.
But we got the trophy.
Debo, Red got his bike back. Yeah,
we Debo'd Hanford West. Yes, we. Yeah, that was
bullied and took it back.
We took it back.
So
took that chain back too.
Yep, we took that.
My mama's chain.
My mama gave me that.
So the thing was that I really appreciate you for is you brought the fun back to it. I know a lot of times with sports, we want to be focused, we want to win. Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes it gets so serious that it's no longer a game,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're not having fun with it anymore. And when you're not having fun, you're not at your best.
Exactly.
Your potential, you got to play loose. And there's a hard lesson I had to learn. And you guys went to a Valley Championship.
Yes, we did. We went to a Valley Championship. We went to a Valley Championship. And
that was Strathmore?
yeah. We played them 2 times in the Valley Championship. My first year there as an assistant, we
That's
played them.
right.
And then
Heartbreakers.
and then my second year as the head coach.
So you went back to back?
No.
As an assistant and as a head coach?
No, so I went as assistant, then I took over. We had a young team. We got to the playoffs that first year.
Yeah.
And then we got beat. And then that second year as a head coach, we got back. But another thing people don't realize, my third year, we got 1 game away from the Valley Championship again.
That's right. That's right. When was the Debo year? Was that when we went to Valley?
I think that was the year we went to
Debo
Valley.
speech, the
I
famous.
think that was the year we went to Valley.
Oh man! And you know what's great about that is that we are a younger school, right?
No,
like Liberty's fairly new.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was, and so there's all this stuff that's never happened before. Like we can start traditions,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when we look back at the history of Sierra Pacific football, they're gonna be like, yeah, this is where Tate gave the Debo speech back in 2000.
That was
That was
18?
fun.
Was
Yeah,
it
2018.
2018, something like
Hey,
that.
you got a side job for a future ASB director right there.
You'd be good for that too.
No, thank
Sarah
you.
Valines does a great job, man.
No, thank you. I couldn't do that. She
Yeah,
does an excellent
there's
job.
no breaks
No
for
breaks.
Sarah.
Yeah. The fun as far as football, because football changed my life. It's been a part of my life, like I said, since I was a little kid. And in my opinion, football is the greatest sport ever because it teaches life lessons. It teaches you about hardship. It teaches you how to be successful. It teaches you about teamwork. It teaches you about brotherhood. It teaches you about family.
Yeah.
All of those aspects. But in family, there's fun times. And, one of the things, the guys that play for me, and they can tell you, at every banquet at the end of the year, I told them, I'm no longer Tate to you. I'm your Uncle Dion.
Dion.
And if you ever need anything, you call me.
Yeah.
And over my years, I performed weddings for guys.
Wow.
I've gone, sad thing, I've gone to funerals. I've been to family functions. I've had guys over to my house, where I barbecue for the guys. And because it's a family. And so I wanted to bring the fun back. My thing is, after we win, we played September by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I remember that.
We play September.
Yeah.
But before the game, I'd play ABC by the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
And I'd dance around the field because I wanted to loosen the boys up.
Yeah.
It's a serious game, but I wanted them to know we're gonna have fun.
Oh man, I love that approach. There's one thing, when you talk about football being one of the greatest games, and I think Jim will agree with me on this one. When you play football, as we all have, there's always going to be that, your day is going to come where you're going to get your bell rung. Oh my gosh. You're going to get knocked down really hard. And when that happens, there's a decision to be made.
Yes.
Am I going to get back up or am I going to stay on the ground? And you guys have all seen them. We're not going to name them because they might be friends still, but some guys never get back up.
Exactly.
And they're never quite the same. And then they're gun shy, and then pretty soon they fade and they're off the team.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about getting hit really hard and getting back up that is a great metaphor for life.
Yes.
Because now, as a father, as a husband, as a friend, everyone here, we've been back on the mat. We've been knocked down hard by life. But we've already learned the lesson, which is that if you get up, it feels really bad at first.
Yes.
Right? When you play football and you get up and you're dizzy and you just, I don't want to play anymore. But you just kind of keep going. And pretty soon you're back in the game. And that's exactly how it is in life.
Yes. 100%.
And that to me, that's the greatest lesson there. get back up.
Yep. Get up. You know, the season may not go the way you planned it, and that's how life is. Sometimes you make plans in life. You know, I'm going to go to school, and when I get out, I'm going to get this great job, and I'm going to make this amount of money, and then things happen.
Yeah.
How do you respond to those situations when they happen? You know, that's one of the main things I tell them. And I tell them, as men, you make plans in life, but sometimes the plans that you make don't work out the way you planned it. How do you respond in those situations?
Yeah.
That's a life lesson.
Exactly.
You know, so.
And sports has those, what I call manufactured adversity, because the sport, you know, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, it's designed for failure. Like you're going to have, someone's losing at the end of every game. And you've got to find a way to
There's
emotionally.
no trophy for last place.
Yeah.
Right?
It is right.
And you have to manage that, right? You have to figure out, okay, am I going to keep playing? Am I going to walk away? Am I going to quit?
But there is a side note, since all of us have played football.
Yeah.
There is a side note of knowing that if you were the one that knocked the guy out on the ground, that's a good feeling too, though.
That's a great feeling. Oh, that's a great feeling.
See, these are defensive players speaking right
That's
here.
a great feeling.
I was mainly on the offensive side. I was getting hit most of the time, so I can't relate to that as much. But yeah, it's a great lesson for life.
Great lesson.
So, man, Tate, a lot of people are going to watch this, and a lot of people know you and been around you. What's your parting words of wisdom now that you've gone through this life? You've navigated things. You've switched schools. You've had culture shock. You've been in a hospital for 31 days. We both have been around a person that we worked with that took their own life. I mean, you've been through a lot of things. What would you like to impart in terms of wisdom to the young people out there?
You know, the main thing is keep pushing. You know, like I said, you may make plans and things may not turn out the way you expected them to turn out. Mistakes are going to be made. You're going to have some ups. You're going to have some downs. Learn to embrace both sides. You know, one of the things that I always talk to my wife about is that I like the person that I am now. I love the person that I am now. In order for me to love the person that I am now, I have to learn to embrace the mistakes that I made in the past, because those mistakes help shape me into who I am. We always look to the good, and the good times, you know, hey, that's why they're good times. But those bad times are also shape you. So what lesson are you learning from the bad? You know, we have students at the school that I know they share with you, they share with me the bad things that are happening. And one of the things I tell them is allow this to help shape you into the person that you want to become as an adult.
Amen.
What will 30, 40-year-old you look like because of this? Don't let it break you. Let it help make you. And so my parting words is trust the process. Completely trust that process. Life has some curveballs. We got to learn how to hit the curveballs.
Yeah.
Everything's not going to be right down the plate. We got to learn to hit the curveballs. And if you happen to strike out, there's still another at bat for you.
Yeah.
So
I think you just created a bumper sticker right there. Don't, what'd you say, life? Don't let life break you.
don't let life break you. Let it help make you.
Yeah, that's a bumper sticker, right? Man, well, thank you very much, Tate,
was
for being
fun.
on the show.
This was fun.
Right? Can we get a little applause, audience? Audience, you guys out there? Oh, hey, there they are. Man, Tate, thank you for being on the show. Oh, there's an awkward microphone check. Guys, if you like what we're doing, if you like what Tate had to share today, if you like the beautiful production that Jim sets up for us, please like and subscribe. Jim's always telling me, you never ask him to subscribe to the channel. So I'm trying to, do my duty so I don't get yelled off off camera, right? The real boss is over here. So, I'm just trying to make sure we pay the bills. Till next time, as always, it's love, peace, chicken grease, RobLive with Tate, and we out.